All right, well, let's go north because there's issues for everyone right around the country. I tell you, the path could be bare of fruit the way we're going. Australia's world-class fruit is in danger of being left to rot due to a chronic shortage of fruit pickers on farms right around the country. And this is the direct impact of the shortage of international back payers. Because despite a weekly wage of up to almost $4,000 a week, this industry can't seem to get Australians willing to pick fruit. Gavin Skerr is the Managing Director of Pinata Farms, which includes the Strawberry Fields brand in Queensland's Moreton Bay region. He joins me now. Gavin, I tell you, for $4,000 a week, someone else can do this show and I'm coming your way for a bit of sunshine and normal life. I just couldn't believe when I saw that sort of salary, and you can't get workers. In a normal season, how many workers would you have?
In a normal season, Peter, we would have about 400 people harvesting and packing strawberries on our property here on the Sunshine Coast. And at the moment, we're struggling to get half that number, and that's due to the Australian border being closed. We understand why it is closed. However, with the lack of backpackers and the seasonal workers, we're desperately short of labour. So in the last couple of days, due to a bit of media coverage, we've had a lot of Aussies apply for work, which we've put on. However, they're all inexperienced, and like every job site, you need experienced people to train the less experienced or the inexperienced. So we desperately need the experienced people, which is the backpackers and the seasonal workers, the ones that have done it for many years for us, to be able to come back in and do that.
Were you surprised to find it was so hard to get Australians to work? I mean, other businesses are telling me that people are saying to them, well, why would I bother going to work when I've got, $1,500 from JobKeeper and I can stay at home and do nothing? Of course, you're compounded by the fact that Queensland's got closed borders. So Australian workers, you have to rely on picking them from a pool in Queensland. What's been the impediments you're being told about?
Well, certainly the state borders have exacerbated the issue with the closure of the Queensland borders. However, as an industry, the agriculture industry has been concerned about this right from the beginning. When COVID first hit back in March, we were concerned about the lack of workers. We're heavily reliant on international people to come and harvest and pack our fruit. That's largely because Aussies just don't want to do it anymore. However, with half the amount of backpackers in Australia that there normally is, and no more coming, that's left us in this position. So the federal government have reopened the seasonal worker program, so that's where the people from the Pacific Islands can come and work here in Australia. Many of those have been here before. They can come each year and harvest our fruit. They're highly experienced and willing workers, and the first plane load of those landed in Darwin last week as a trial. What we need now is the state governments to get on board and enable that to happen in each and every state. So, we're harvesting fruit here in Queensland. We also have farms in the Northern Territory and Tasmania. And at this stage, the Queensland and Tasmanian governments haven't gotten on board with reopening the seasonal worker program.
And we also know that it went to the Health Minister's meeting an agricultural plan from David Littleproud recently. I think it might have been 4 or 5 days ago, and it was not agreed yet for the movement of agricultural workers around the country. What happens to the fruit? What happens to your sort of revenue source if it goes unpicked this season?
Well, it depends on the crop, on how long you've actually got to harvest it from when it's ready to harvest. In the case of strawberries, raspberries, the two berry crops that we grow here, they need to be harvested today or tomorrow at the latest. The ones that are ripe, we're harvesting half the farm, one day and the other half the next, and then we go back and do it again. So anything that's left behind is lost, as in it's not there, later in the week or next week. To make it worse in berries, we need to then, once we get behind in harvesting blocks, we need to spray them off, as in we can't just go back into them because old fruit goes rotten, and then that turns the good fruit bad as well. So we end up losing the whole block. So we are now spraying out blocks prematurely due to not being able to harvest.
Yeah, we've got people down in Victoria who would desperately love to work, but they can't get there. Gavin Skerr, I'm sorry that you're in this predicament. I'm sorry the country's in this predicament. I appreciate you giving us some real life impacts on the show tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Peter.